Best coaches in the game, we really ain't playing. We regroup up in the Slack chat where the coaches debrief. We be piecing these puzzles, occupy the chunk of the pie. Ain't no lie when we hit the block, helmet's casket is top. You be seeing helmet after helmet, helmet after helmet. First place, second place, fifth place, eighth place, 12th place, 15, 16, 20. So many helmets, you got blurred vision, we got too many. Tick your tech. Oh man, shit. They got us fucked up. Army, regroup. We pledge always to have that edge. We don't fire warning shots. Competition just dropped. We locked and loaded before lock. Whatever the time, yeah. Do you even correlate?
Being the best requires a willingness to outwork your competition. There's always someone smarter, faster, sharper, more naturally gifted to come around.
Hello, everybody. Happy Friday. We have a great slate to go over tonight. It's just me today, so sorry you guys can't see Cam's beautiful face, but he's got to work, so I'm just going to go over the slate with you guys. Definitely be sure to throw some stuff into the comments, ask a bunch of questions. It'll make this go a lot smoother for everybody instead of me just talking about everything and not interacting with you guys. So I want to interact with you, so throw in questions. We have a really nice 6-game slate tonight that I can't wait to go over with everybody. Drop the pen. What I will do is I will start and go over some of our injury news. I know a couple people were asking about that tonight. For the Colorado Avalanche, Nathan McKinnon, he's expected to play. He took morning skate today, so I think his head is good. Just want to know that if anyone hits him like that again and Kadri's on the ice, he's probably going to beat the crap out of him. Gabriel Landeskog, he missed the morning skate this morning, but his wife just had their baby yesterday, so he is expected to play. I checked the Colorado beat writer, his Twitter, and Landeskog is expected. Bowen Byram, he is out again along with Cal McCarr. So Devin Taves and Sam Girard are going to continue to get a bunch more minutes and are still great plays tonight. Vladimir Tarasenko, he did practice in full with the Blues, but he's still expected to be out tonight. So same lineup basically for them. Jaden Schwartz is still out. Colton Parayko is still out. Charlie Coyle's out again for Boston. He's still in the COVID protocol. Hampus Lindholm from the Ducks, he's out again. He'll be out for probably 4 to 6 weeks. So we'll continue to see Cam Fowler get a bunch of extra minutes up there. And Eric Cernak for Tampa Bay, defenseman, he's out as well. He's not a huge fantasy impact player, but he is getting 18 minutes a game. So those minutes are going to be distributed somewhere, kind of boost up Hedman a little bit, even though he still plays a ton of minutes every night. So I just want to welcome everyone to the show. Those of you who aren't DFS Army members, come join up. I know NBA All-Star break is going on right now, so we are going to have a lot more new faces in NHL for the next weekend or so. Come use the code Mdell. Save yourself 10% off on any of our VIP subscriptions. We have monthly, weekly, yearly. You can do certain sports. You can do all sports. Totally up to you. But sign up, get into Slack, and just ask a bunch of questions and learn some new things about hockey. There's esports going on. There's PGA, NASCAR. So there's definitely a bunch of money to be won over there. So without further ado, guys, be sure to put your comments in there, and we will start going over the slate tonight. There's a couple quick overview. We do have a ton of value, especially on Draftkings. Like, there's so much value on Draftkings. If I keep looking to the sides, because I have my other computer, so I'm looking at pricing and everything over there. Play Draftkings mostly, so Fanduel single entry. What's your best approach? Smaller stacks, getting pieces of stacks, or just go for the best scores regardless. I have a hard time not stacking. Okay, so that's actually a really good question. And before I get to the games, I'll kind of approach that. So I mostly play Fanduel, so it's definitely easier for me to figure out Fanduel and stacks and everything like that. I would say my best approach for single entry is you want to get one of the stacks that is implied, a bunch of goals, guys who are scoring lately, guys who are taking a bunch of shots. For defensemen, you want to see who's getting a bunch of blocks. Mainly for tournaments, I like getting those guys who are going to get like three or more blocks. But then if you have the offensive defensemen like a Victor Hedman or an Alex Pietrangelo or a Shea Theodore, you're going to look at their shots on goal and their blocks because they're going to be involved in the scoring in one way or another, especially in some of the games tonight. So there's some teams that you're not always going to want to stack a full line. You can do like two players, which would be like a mini stack. For your goalie approach, it's Friday and I'm feeling good today, so I'm going to show you guys my cheat sheet for FanDuel, and you'll be able to kind of see like where I'm going. If you already are a DFS Army member, my cheat sheet is up. It is completed. Make sure you take a look at the notes, especially the notes section, because I highlighted some extra things in there that isn't obviously going to be with just the names. For the best scorers, I would say, like, yeah, you want to get, like, if you're playing Tampa Bay tonight, you're going to want to get a piece of, personally, their power play. Stamkos, Hedman, Point, Killorn is still too cheap. So definitely for single entry, you're going to want to stack. Like, people are going to stack against you. Not often does a lineup of one-offs win you a tournament. It has happened before. It's definitely possible. But it's not really the ideal situation, especially if you have a great guy, like a great stack that just goes off and everyone else is going to have them. Tattooed Freak, you also said safe goalie and value D-men. Yeah, that's kind of where I go in tournaments. I try to get, if I don't like a ton of offensive players from the goalie side, so I would play the goalie, and then say I have like one spot left over, I will look to get one piece that I think might score in that game. Like, for example, the other night I played Needle Elovich, or I'm never going to get that right, but played him for Carolina. I had one spot left, and I had it just enough for Vincent Trocheck. So I'm like, you know what? I think he could score tonight. And if he scores and Needle gets the win, then that's a ton of points. And Trocheck was actually the one who ended up scoring, and he had the game winner that night. So I was pretty happy with that. Weeva, I'll get into the Kings a little bit later. Velvet, yeah, everyone's got to get their DFS fix, especially with no NBA for the weekend. And if you have no more questions right now, I might as well just start getting right into it here. And we will start with our first game of the night, which is the Washington Capitals and the Boston Bruins. Washington implied 2.9, Bruins 3.2. Kind of like the other night, I'm not really interested in either offense that much. Boston's kind of struggling lately, which is kind of annoying and hard to pinpoint exactly what they're going to do. Like, Pasta is probably my main guy with them. Goalies here, I'm not interested in Halak, but I don't mind Vitek Vanek. He's been really good like all season this year, so I don't have a problem if you want to throw him in a tournament lineup. I think he's going to see enough shots against him. Boston shooting over 30 shots in their last 10 games. So he definitely has the save upside for tournaments. And no interest in Halak there. Stacks. Neither of these teams really made any of my top stacks. They're kind of, if you're playing a bunch of lineups and you want to have exposure to basically every team on the smaller slate tonight, if I had to choose, I would definitely prioritize the Washington side. So I'm looking more at the Ovechkin, Kuznetsov, and Sheary line. If you want, I do like their top power play a little bit more. Oshie, Backstrom, Vrana, Ovechkin, and Carlson. They get most of the time on the ice. Last 10 games, they have 4 power play goals, and those guys accounted for 8 assists. The The only one who hasn't really been getting assists on the power play is Verana, but he's been good in the 5-on-5. So playing on the second line, Backstrom and Wilson, I don't hate it if you want to go there. For Boston, their top lines, Marchand, Bergeron, Pasternak. They're expensive, so I don't really love them here, but I'm not going to fault you if you want to play them. There's just other spots on this slate tonight that I would rather go to. Keep questions coming, guys, because if you have a question on a game and I don't get to it while I'm talking to the game, I'll go back to it and I'll answer a bunch of questions at the end for you. So, yeah, there's not too much with that slate, or with that game, I should say, that I'm very interested in, especially like for cash. Like, I'm not looking at any of these guys. I am going to take a look over at DraftKings really quick just to see if there's really any value from this game. I'm assuming Boston's second line is probably pretty cheap, but they're just not really consistent enough for me. So just give me 1 second here. I do have my Blue Moon for you guys today. I know you were asking about the first one I did. Sadly, the liquor store only had this version, Light Sky. I mean, it's okay, but I told Kevin that I was drinking a Blue Moon today on the stream. He was pumped about it. He said it's a must. So I think I might have to go buy a pack later in the week. So if we're looking at this game here, I will take a look at Boston's side. Nick Ritchie, you can play. David Krejci's back. He's only 3,600 on DraftKings. I don't hate that. If you want to play him, he'll probably get some more minutes with Charlie Coyle missing another game. But other than those two guys, Jake DeBrusk still only 3,100. Hasn't done much, but definitely has upside. I'm just not really huge on playing them. If you're looking at the Washington side, Ovechkin, he's obviously the most expensive. I still don't really love paying up for him. Even on a small slate, I'm not playing him in cash. But if you look over at Kuznetsov, he's only 4,400 on DraftKings. He hasn't really been that great, but that's so cheap for a guy of his caliber. We're getting power play time, playing on the top line with Ovechkin. Definitely is going to help him out. Connor Sheary's 2,900, still very cheap. He likely won't score or do much, but I mean, if you're okay with maybe taking a 0, he's cheap, decent value. Banana cream cake. That sounds really good. My fiance is making banana bread right now, so I'm pretty pumped. Having some friends over tonight, so that's why I'm having this a little bit earlier. And other than that, like, if you guys have any questions about this game, about any game that I go over, just shoot them in the comments section. I'll be able to answer. But we'll go over to the next game here, which is Tampa Bay Lightning at Chicago Blackhawks. Tampa Bay's Vegas total is 3.5, and the Blackhawks is 2.6. I think that's a little bit low for the Blackhawks side. I think Vegas is still thinking that Vasilevsky is going to start. I looked right before I started this, and Curtis McElhinney is still projected to start. Being on a back-to-back, I can definitely see that happening. But that's going to be huge news that we have to keep up with later on, and I will make sure I put it in Slack if I see it. Because if Vasilevsky starts, I have no interest in the Blackhawks, especially in cash. If you want to stack them in GPPs, it's perfectly fine. Anything goes in tournaments. And Vasilevsky is one of the best goalies in the world. So not really somebody I'd be looking to target. But if and Malcolm Subban is starting for the Blackhawks, so he's not good. He hasn't really played anyone that good this year, and Tampa Bay is just a force. The one thing I think that might help Chicago, because their penalty kill is terrible. They're one of the worst in the leagues. In the last 10 games, they have a 47% penalty kill, but they're only taking about 2 penalties a game, which definitely helps them in the last 10 games. Over the season, they're only taking about 3, but Tampa Bay's done a really good job at drawing penalties at 4.3 penalties a game, so they're getting chances. Their power play is like outstanding. So I don't hate that at all. If we're looking at the Tampa Bay side, who I definitely prefer, I'll show you guys my cheat sheet later. Once I go over all the games, and I'll let you know like who I like especially, and so you can see it again. But it's that first power play line: Stamkos, Hedman, Killorn, Point, and Palat. They're my favorite, probably GPP stack of the night, besides, which we'll get into later. But I have no problem playing anybody from Tampa Bay. Palat's been really good. Like I was looking at his numbers earlier, and against Chicago this year, so he's cheap. I mean, he's 5,200 on DraftKings, 57 on Fanduel. I don't love him on Fanduel for that price, but I want a piece of Tampa Bay, and with what I have, it's kind of working out. Against Chicago this year in 3 games, he's got 2 goals and an assist with 8 shots. It's pretty good. He's playing averages 16 minutes a game. He does get an extra basically minute and a half in road games this year, which is very interesting. So they're throwing out that top line, maybe an extra shift or two. But I like him. I feel like Anthony Cirelli is going to get a lot of traction. I definitely think he's a better play on DraftKings. On FanDuel, he's the same price as Palat. And for somebody who doesn't take a ton of shots, I'm not really looking for him on FanDuel. But on DraftKings, if you want to throw him in a stack, against Chicago this year, he's got 4 points, 9 shots, averaging 18 minutes a game. So I don't hate that at all. And he plays on the power play too. Alex Killorn paid off last night for everybody that played him, especially on DraftKings, because he was so cheap and he was able to finally score. Still plays on the top power play line, so I do like that. I feel like a lot of people are probably going to ask me about what is it? Like Blake Coleman. He's popping like crazy on the domination station optimizer, but he doesn't get power play time. He hasn't been good. The only reason that he's being like thrown in there so much is because on FanDuel, especially, he's 3,800. DraftKings for 4,100. You're better off going to Killorn at 33 or getting up to Cirelli at 48. Other than that, there's not too much that I have interested in with that Tampa Bay side. For Chicago, basically, the only people in play for me are their top line. I don't hate it in tournaments. Finding myself playing a lot of Carl Soderberg in cash, mainly because he's 3,300 on FanDuel. On DraftKings, he's 3,700, so I don't hate that either. This game could be another 3-2 game. If McElhinney starts, it's probably going to be higher. So I just think there's going to be more scoring on both sides. I think their implied total should be a little bit higher than 2.6 that it is right now. Cash plays in this game for me would be on DraftKings. You can look at throwing in, I like Hedman, I like Stamkos. They're a little pricier though, so we might not be able to get them. But value guys, Palat, Cirelli, Killorn, don't hate any of those guys over there. I'm actually going to check my DraftKings lineup that I made for tonight to see exactly who I put in there for value. Let's see. I will also go over tiers for you guys tonight. And I'm loving tiers lately. Yeah, I have Killorn right now. In my cash lineup at 3,300. He doesn't really need to do much to hit value. So, very cheap. We'll move on to the next game. And somebody had asked me in Slack about, actually someone asked in these comments earlier, the next game here is the St. Louis Blues at the Los Angeles Kings. Blues are implied 2.9. The Kings are implied 2.7. Vinny Husso is starting for the Blues tonight. Regardless if it was Binnington or Husso, I absolutely loved the Kings' power play. Their power play has been just absolutely fantastic this year. Their 5-on-5 isn't that great, but their power play is hitting at 25% this season. The Blues' penalty kill. If you do take a look at our research station, just throw this on the screen for you because I think it's pretty important and it might answer some questions. The Kings power play being so good. Yeah, the numbers are pretty bad for the Blues on the season, but the one weary thing I had is this number right here. Last 10 games, the penalty kill has been a lot better for the Blues. They're 10% better than they've been on the season. They could just be taking, they're only taking 2.6 penalties. So they're taking one penalty less per game, and their penalty kill has been better. The thing here with the Kings, I'll also show you that this table that I made here is the Kings are drawing almost 4 penalties a game on the season. So I do think that they could see between 2 and 4 penalties. If you look at their road record here for the Blues, they're averaging 4 penalties a game. If you look down here at the power play line, look at what this power play has done. Look what they've done in the last 10 games. 7 goals and 16 assists. So I definitely love stacking this power play in tournaments. I know on Fanduel you can only fit 4 guys from one team. So the guy I'd probably leave out right now would be Alex Iafallo or Adrian Kempe. One of those is going to be left out. I might lean to leaving Kempe out just because he plays on the third line down there. But Kopitar, Brown, and Doughty, if I'm making a Kings power play stack, those are 3 guys that I'm putting in there. No questions asked. Goalies in this game also, don't play either one of them. Jonathan Quick, he actually didn't play that bad last game, but I don't think the options. We have some better options, even though it's a smaller slate. If you're playing 150 lineups and you want to throw him in 10%, maybe. I don't really have a problem with that because the Blues scoring is kind of sporadic. But I'm not playing Husso either. Don't worry about that. For the St. Louis side, I do kind of have interest in their power play. But more so for value. I'm looking for value from these guys. So Zach Sanford, Jordan Kyrou, those are my 2 value guys. And they're also in my rankings on my sheet that I'll show you guys a little bit later. Sanford, 4 goals, 2 assists, 15 shots over his last 5 games. Most of them did come in one game. So kind of be a little weary on that. But Kyrou's been really good all season. So I have no problem if you kind of your last spot and you need to find someone that cheap, no problem going with him. If you want to do a little mini stack, I don't mind the Braden Shen, David Perron mini stack. And you can even throw in someone like Marco Scandella for cheap. He's blocking a ton of shots, getting a few extra minutes. The other night, Oscar Sundqvist here was 35% in cash. I get he's cheap. He had a goal. I think he had a goal and an assist, but he only had 1 shot. He plays on the top power play line, but Kings have a really good power play. So he's not even on my radar tonight. I'm not even looking at him. And other than that, I'm not really interested. Kings power play, one-offs for value for the Blues. If you want to do a little mini stack, I'm fine with either a Sanford Kyrou stack. They're very cheap, or a Shen and Perron stack in that game there. Guys, keep your questions coming. William Husso is hot garbage. Yeah, he's not. Andreas Athanasiou did not reach my eye today. 3 points, 11 shots in his last 5 games. Not awful. Let me look at his price here. So the good thing about tonight's slate too is we have 2 early games and then we have 4 that start at 9 or later. Don't be discouraged if you're not going anywhere once the first 2 games start, because Washington, Boston, and Cash, they're not going to be very popular. People probably still play Pasternak, but other than that, they're not going to be very popular. So we're looking here. Athanasiou he's 2,900 on DraftKings. If you want to throw him in a stack, I just don't really like their second power play unit that much. If we look over at left wing lock, I'll see how much they played last game. So they played 31% on the power play last game. Don't mind it. That's only if you're doing 100 plus lineups, I would do that, because it's not very good. One second, guys. A couple of questions in Slack. I told them to come on over here so you guys can get those questions also, because it's a question that I will definitely be going over in one of the later games tonight. But other than that, on that game, like I said, Kings power play, St. Louis for value, neither goalie. Not interested in those guys. Minnesota Wild at the Arizona Coyotes. The Wild projected at 3 goals tonight. Arizona 2.6. This game for me is kind of a stay away. I'm not interested that much in anything. I don't mind Kakko Kakkonen for Minnesota. Arizona's not really scoring that much lately, so if you want to go there in tournaments, I have no problem with it. He's only 7,300 on Fanduel. He's a little bit more on Draftkings, so I probably wouldn't play him on Draftkings. But on Fanduel, at 7,300, take a couple stabs at him if you want. The rest of this game, though, it's kind of a stay away. Minnesota, yeah, they've been scoring like crazy. But I think they're going to negatively regress soon. Like their second line, Kaprizov and Zuccarello, they've kind of fallen off a little bit. They were in a tough matchup against Vegas, though, and Vegas finally figured them out and only allowed 1. But if you were playing a guy in cash from them, I don't mind going with Kevin Fiala. He's still shooting a ton. So it's definitely something that is in play. It's just not a priority for me. He didn't even make my wing list tonight just because I don't really like – I just don't have no interest. There's other spots that are better off, especially for his price. The Coyotes here, Connor Garland. Excuse me. Connor Garland's back. He played last game, got an assist. He's still pretty cheap, so I don't mind if you want to play him. You'll see when I show you guys my cheat sheet later that Jacob Chychrun is just way too cheap. On FanDuel, he is 4,500. There are 2 defensemen who I just love for their price that lets you fit studs. Chychrun is one of them. He's got 5 points and 25 shots and blocks, or 23 shots and blocks in his last 5 games. He's just involved everywhere. So he's too cheap for me. I love him here tonight. Let's see here. Other than that, like this game's kind of a stay away. It's one of those 9 o'clock games that like you don't really want to play. Neither offense is great. Neither defense is great. I do have a little interest. So I know the research station says that Antti Ranta is projected to start. But Darcy Kemper is expected back tonight. And yeah, it's still projected. So we still don't know yet. But he's expected back. If he does start, I do have a little bit of interest in him going against the Wild. They're shooting 31 shots a game in their last 10. So he's going to see some saves that could raise his floor a little bit. And if they're able to win like a 2-1 game, he'll score really well. So I do like that there. Yeah, Tattooed Chychrun has been in my lineup probably every slate he's been on in the last 2 weeks. He's just way too cheap. I'll get to some of these questions when I get to those games, guys. I won't forget about you. Keep questions coming. Please keep them coming. Make this a little bit easier and less awkward for me. Other than that, in that game, no thanks. Chychrun, both goalies are in play if you want for tournaments. But neither of the offenses really sparked my eye with some of the teams we have on the slate. So I'll go, we got a couple games left. I'll go with the Anaheim Ducks at the Colorado Avalanche. Anaheim's projected just 2.2 goals, Colorado 3.4. You guys, I'm sure, know where I'm going on this game. I am going Colorado, and more Colorado. I don't really think they're going to be chalky between them and Vegas. They're going to be 2 very chalky lines and one-offs tonight. With McKinnon skating this morning. I'm sure he's going to play. And Landeskog, he's going to play too. Rantanen, like that top line is just absolutely filthy. Without Makar, though, and Byram, we're going to see that Gerard, Taves do a little bit more. I would prefer, like if you're stacking their top line, I would prefer Gerard a little bit just because he's playing on the power play with them. I think last game he didn't. If I was able to make this a little bit later, Cam would have joined me. That's unfortunate. Cam, sorry, buddy. Had some plans, so I had to do this a little bit earlier. So, looking at Colorado power play right now, Gerard is projected on the top line, so I do give him the slight edge. But they played the whole time. There was only one difference, and that was Burakovsky played over Landeskog last game for a little bit of the time. But I love their top power play, slight edge to Gerard, like I said. Over on DraftKings, I'll look at the pricing because that'll definitely be a huge, huge difference. So on Fanduel, Gerard's got priced up $200 more. I still like him. I prefer him a little bit more than Taves, but I played Taves the last 2 games, and he didn't really do much. So if I don't play him tonight, he'll probably go off. Gerard is still cheaper than Taves on DraftKings, so I'd prefer Gerard over there. Nazem Kadri, love him, 5,600 on DraftKings, 6,600 on FanDuel. I love him in all situations, all spots. He's going to play on the top power play. I have interest in Philip Grubauer as well in this one. My biggest issue is he probably won't see a ton of shots because the Ducks just don't shoot a ton. 27, almost 28 shots in the last 10 games, up a little bit from their season, but it's still not very good. For the Anaheim Ducks side, value. I mean, I'm only looking for value, and my first guy would be Max Comtois. He's shooting a ton still and getting some points. I don't think they're going to really do much tonight, but he would be a guy. He's still very cheap. On DraftKings, he is. He's only 3,900 on DraftKings. He's even cheaper on FanDuel, I believe. No, he went up. He's 4,300 on FanDuel. Still don't hate it for value. He's been a decent floor guy lately. They had 5 shots last game, and he was able to score a goal last game. So he would probably be my top value from them. The other guy I'm interested in is Cam Fowler. He's still getting more minutes with Lindholm out. He was able to get an assist and a couple shots last game. Versus Colorado, though, he hasn't really done that much this year, but he's playing over 20 minutes. And he's only 3,800, so for value, I don't hate that at all. I think somebody asked me about Adam Henrique. Let me see. Yeah, I'm not really interested in him for value. I'd rather just go to Comtois or Fowler if you can afford it. Like Henrique's 3,100. He hasn't done anything. Really, like he had 4 shots last game, but he's not scoring. He doesn't always take a ton of shots, so I'm not really interested in there. Couple questions on this one. Tattooed Freak, no. I'm not full fading Nathan McKinnon. I am full playing him everywhere. There's just no line. There's not that many studs to pay up for tonight, so McKinnon is going to be in pretty much every single one of my lineups, probably almost all my cash lineups. Tattoo Freak also says Colorado's not hard to fit in on DK. No, they're not. I love Landeskog for his price, and on DraftKings, I probably won't get to Rantanen. He's 8,100, but if you're trying to stack them, so let me just put their top lineup here on DraftKings. Oh, Gabriel Landeskog's 5,900. He's way too cheap. He's got the baby narrative going for him as well. So I absolutely love that. So on DraftKings, I almost like trying to do a slot stack. I don't know if it's possible, but I'm going to take a chance and see if it is. It is probably not. So for goalie, if you're going here, you're gonna want a cheap goalie. So you're probably not gonna be able to fit Grubauer or Fleury. But you can play Kakinen if you want. You can play Vanek. This is GTP, guys. Remember, if you're doing like a full onslaught stack, Vanek 7,300 leaves you only 3,200 for the last 3 spots. So doing an onslaught with Kadri in there, I'm not a big fan. If you play McKinnon, Rantanen, Skog, and Gerard with Vanek at goalie, you got about 3,800 per player. I'm sure you could find it with the value. Like, let's see if you got Soderberg 3,700. You can play Kaloran at 3,300. There's definitely things that you can do that make it possible. One thing I hate about DraftKings, I'll get into it in the last game, is Alec Martinez is very expensive on DraftKings, so I really don't like that. But yeah, I mean that 4-man stack for Colorado is definitely possible on DraftKings and tournaments. For cash, I would basically lean to going McKinnon and Gerard. But you can do a full stack with 4 of those guys on DraftKings. It is possible. I just put a line for it. So, and because DraftKings doesn't let us share lineups, I'm not going to show you an example because I'm not getting in trouble. But other than that, in this game, let me see if there are questions. But yeah, Ben Hutton, no, don't play him. Plan B smoothies. Good question. I'm bored and playing 2 lineups today. Never play or watch NHL, DraftKings. So a little tip on how to stack or one-offs. So if throw in the comments if you're a DFS Army member. If you are, for sure go over to Rob Flynn's cheat sheet. He's got stacks there. He's got his core. What you're gonna want to do if this is your first time and you're not really sure. If you're playing, are you playing cash or tournaments? And answer that, and I will be able to help a little bit more because it's a little different lineup construction. So Plan B smoothies, just let me know, cash or tournaments. Tar Heels, it is not cold in my house. I just felt like wearing my hair. And I didn't do my hair today. So gotta rep my Yanks, man. It's almost baseball season. But I also got my Golden Knights shirt here too, hoodie. Go Knights, baby. But okay, so you're looking tournament. Tattooed freak, yeah, have a good one, man. I'll catch you in Slack, I'm sure. So you're talking tournaments. How do I stack? So I still want to look for guys with high totals, guys projected to score. So if we're looking just at highest projected goals tonight, so they're going to be chalky because Vegas thinks they're going to score a lot. People are going to see that and notice that. Tampa Bay is going to be high owned. Colorado is going to be high owned. Vegas is going to be high owned. I definitely will want a piece of one of those 3 in like a main. So like, say you want to stack Colorado, and I actually really like a Colorado and like Vegas 2 or 3 stack. For tournaments, and doing Vegas 2 or 3, I really like the third line, honestly. And then throw in like Nicholas Hague with him too. You could fit Colorado in like a value Vegas line. Tampa Bay has some value on their top power play that you can throw in there too. So basically, you want to have your primary stack, and they're probably going to be a little bit more expensive. And then see if you can find a value stack. And if you guys want to take a look, I won't always be showing this to you guys because we can't give away everything for free. But you're looking at DraftKings Stack Finder, great tool on the research station. Go over here. So it's great. It's got salary, their projection, their last 5 stats, their how much they're implied to score. So obviously you see like Colorado, they're a top stack. They're going to cost you though. But so if you want to stack them, you're going to need to find a value stack. But look at Vegas here. Third line, 12.5. Pretty high for a second line. But their third line is only 9.6. Throw in Tuck and Glass and Nicholas Hague, and it's a good little 3-man stack there. So definitely take a look at this stack finder tool. And there's also the Draftkings power play. So this has all the 2 power play units from each side, along with their salary projection and last 5 stats. So that's what you're going to want to do. Sure. Yeah, no problem. If you have any certain questions about anything, hit me up in Slack, or you can hit me up on Twitter, mdelagnus14. If you check the DFS Army Twitter page, you should be able to find me. They probably retweeted my last tweet. So if you are in Slack, definitely hit me up. I'll be glad to help you out. So we'll go on to the last game of the night here, and that is the Vegas Golden Knights and San Jose Sharks. Vegas projected 3.6, San Jose 2.5. I do think it might be a little bit low for San Jose, just because of how well they are playing lately. Trying to keep my fan bias out of this. But Vegas and Colorado and Tampa Bay, those are my top 3 stacks. They're everybody's top 3 stacks. They're going to be chalky. But mix and match, like there's value on those 3 teams that you can play that not everybody's going to play. So first off, with goalies, Marc-Andre Fleury, I feel very confident playing him tonight. Yeah, they play each other a lot. They played each other a lot last year in the playoffs. But like San Jose is going to shoot a ton, 30+ probably shots a game. He probably will have about 30-something saves. The only thing I do worry about, like their top line has been really good, so it's definitely tough. They could score a couple goals. I don't think Fleury's going to get the shutout, but I do think he's going to get the win. So for San Jose, if you're going to stack anybody, I would say it would probably be their top line, Kane, Couture, LeBlanc. If you want another guy, you can throw in an Erik Karlsson or a Timo Meier. I just don't love them tonight, mainly because Fleury has been great and the Vegas defense has been really good. Like their last 10 games, they're allowing the best in the league. So they're allowing, I think, less than 2 goals. Yeah, 1.9 goals in the last 10 games, and they're also allowing 1.8 goals on the road this season in 6 games. For Vegas, I love their top line, especially Pacioretty. He's shooting a ton lately. He's scoring. And Mark Stone, he doesn't have the peripherals as much, but he's getting a ton of assists. Like he's got 7 in his last 5 games. Chandler Stevenson, only if you are stacking Vegas 1. I have no problem with playing Shea Theodore, Alex Pietrangelo. I probably wouldn't play them together, only because they are pretty expensive on both sites. But I do love them individually in a stack. You'll see that Flynn loves Evander Kane tonight. I am not on the same wavelength as him, but I think it's possible he can score. I mean, he really struggled last time he faced him this year, only 3 shots, sorry. And he's been a little bit better at home, but I'm just not going there, even at 5,800 on DraftKings. If you don't play Alec Martinez on Fanduel and cash tonight, then like you're doing something wrong, because his price went down $300 from last game, and he's in a much better matchup than they were last time. So Martinez is going to be in all of my cash lineups. He lets you fit so much. He's got 27 shots and blocks in his last 10 games, and at that price, you don't need him to score. He gets those peripherals, and I think San Jose is going to shoot enough where he's going to have a chance to get more blocks. So love that. And Marchessault, Karlsson, Smith, if you want to stack them, go ahead. Don't love them, though. I prefer their first line. And then Cody Glass and Alex Tuck, nice little mini stack. If you want to throw in Nicholas Hague, he's been doing pretty good lately. and I don't mind that at all. So that is it for games. We got a short little slate tonight, only 6 games. I know a lot of people have been asking us about tiers. I really like tiers. I played a few lineups last night and crushed it. So I'll share your screen. I'll share my screen again with you guys, so you can get our little tiers information. So we have two tabs for tiers. I won't be doing this every podcast that I do, because we can't give away everything out for free, or there'd be no point for you guys to join, right? So this is a little freebie Friday on the NHL note. But join up because after this weekend, there's not going to be any more free stuff. Looking at tier 1, I'm loving Patrick Kane if McElhinney starts. If you're not going Patrick Kane, I don't mind Pastrnak. Ovechkin, it'd probably be Kane, Ovechkin, Pastrnak, DeBrincat order for me. But Kane, even if Vasilevsky starts, I still love him. He still was able to get a point last night. Second tier, it's Stamkos or Hedman. Slightly into Hedman because he blocks more shots, got a little bit more upside. But Stamkos has been pretty consistent lately, 60%, 10 points in the last 5 games, which is really good. So it'd be Stamkos, Hedman. I'm not even thinking about Marchand or Bergeron. They're just not playing good right now. Tier 3, we have Braden Point, Mikko Rantanen, Connor Garland, Max Pacioretty, and Brent Burns. It is Pacioretty all the way for me. I really don't like that McKinnon isn't on tier 1, so that kind of ruins a ton of like onslaught Colorado stacks. But if you're playing Rantanen in tier 3, you're going to want to play Landeskog in tier 5 and probably Kadri in tier 6. So Pacioretty, Rantanen, and then probably Burns. In tiers, I don't mind him. I'm not paying his price on Fanduel or Draftkings and Classic. Point for that power play, I like him a lot. And then Garland, not a huge fan of him, but he's been great this season. Tier 4, John Carlson, Jacob Chikrin, David Perron, Anis Kopitar, Logan Couture, and Alex Pietrangelo. In cash, I would go Chikrin just because of his floor. In tournaments, if you're stacking Vegas, you can play Pietrangelo here. I don't think there's many Kings in this one. So you can't really – you could stack Kopitar with Doughty in tier 6, and you can look to stack – yeah, that's it. If you're doing a little mini stack there, I don't hate it. But I would say Chikrin, Pietrangelo, Kopitar in that order. Not really looking at the other 3 like all that much. Tier 5, we got Nicholas Backstrom, Gabriel Landeskog, Braden Shen, Ryan O'Reilly, Shea Theodore, Vander Kane, and Mark Stone. My lean here, even if you're not stacking, is probably going to be Landeskog, and I'm really on that dad narrative here with his wife having her baby last night. So it'd be Landeskog, followed by Theodore, followed by Mark Stone, followed by Vander Kane. The other guys I'm not really looking to play. They have really no floors. Tier 6, this is a really tough tier. Like, we don't have a lot of great options here. I don't love Fiala's matchup. Yeah, I see he's projected the highest. I don't love his matchup, but the shots could be there. My favorite play is Nazem Kadri. If you are stacking Colorado, even in cash, like if you're stacking the Kings, I prefer Doughty over Brown a little bit, but you can't really go wrong in either one if you're playing Kopitar 4 and you want to play that in a stack. Devin Taves, not for tiers. He doesn't have enough upside. So Kadri, Doughty, Brown, and then McAvoy for me in that tier. Tier 7, Palat, Kubalik, Murphy, Suter, Keller, Krug, Martinez, and Carlson. This slate is very easy for me. You're playing Palat, you're playing Martinez, or you're playing Carlson. Palat's been good against Chicago this year, so I really like that. I really like Martinez too. He's got a great floor. Maybe not necessarily the upside for tournaments in tiers because there's no pricing. If you're playing Stammer in tier 2, you're going to play Palat. Carlson, I don't mind as a one-off. He's been a lot better lately. And then Martinez as well. Don't play Kubalik, don't play Murphy, don't play Suter, don't play Keller, and don't play Krug. You don't need to with the other three guys. And finally, tier 8, Anthony Cirelli, Samuel Girard, Nick Schmaltz, Matt Dumba, Joel Eriksson Ek, Mike Hoffman, Justin Falk, Jordan. This is another tough tier. Mike Hoffman's projections have been way too high all season. My lean here would be Girard, especially if you're stacking Colorado. If you're stacking Tampa Bay's power play, I like Cirelli, and I like Jordan Kyrou. Those are my top 3 guys. Other than that, there's really no need to go anywhere else there. So before I wrap it up, get those questions in there. I will show you quickly my cheat sheet along with Flynn's cheat sheet for DraftKings, kind of see where we're going. So we'll start here with the DraftKings side. So we see that he's got Nazem Kadri, Evander Kane, Jacob Chikrin, and Max Comtois for his cash core. They're cheaper, so opens up salary. I would still throw McKinnon in there personally for DraftKings. Stacks here, we talked about Colorado. Chicago 1, if McElhinney starts, yes. Vegas 1, we talked about. San Jose 1, I don't love targeting my boys. They don't allow a ton of goals. They don't allow a ton of shots. Play really good defense. And I'm off the Minnesota 2 train. If they're cheap enough, though, larger field tournaments, you go for it. For cash goalies, Kakkonen, Fleury, Grubauer, and Quick. For me, it's hard to trust Quick and cash. I would just go Fleury and find the value at D, find it at wing, and just pay up for goalie. He's the safest one. On my Fanduel sheet here, you'll see Fanduel is way easier to build a lineup on. So you see my cash core, Nathan McKinnon, Max Pacioretty, Jacob Chikrin, Alex Martinez. These 2 are so cheap. It allows you to get these 2 in with Tampa Bay. Again, we talked about Vegas, Colorado, top 3 stacks of the night. Kings power play, love them. Vegas 3, if you want to throw in some value there. I love Nazem Kadri. You'll see our player ranks. Usually our player ranks are pretty similar. Flynn and I have really the same mind almost. It's kind of scary. Here, if you're a member, check out player ranks, kind of see everything. Throw in some last minute questions if you guys have anything. And says, thanks, man. Thanks for watching. I appreciate it. Jason, I'm gonna try, man. Do as much as I can, trying to grow up hockey here. And there won't be anything this weekend. My fiance's family's coming up, so I'm still going to be on the cheat sheet for FanDuel tomorrow, but I am not going to be on Sunday. So this weekend, this will be the last live stream until Monday. I'll be back Monday with doing cheat sheets, doing a live stream. I'm going to see if Flynn or Cam can jump on with me, and we can talk about the slates. We got next week is a nice little week of slates. Nothing usually too big. I think there's 2 slates next week that are larger. The rest are around 6, 7, 8, 9 games, which is perfect. But before I go, if you guys are not DFS Army members, again, come in, sign up for a VIP membership, use the promo code Mdell, save yourself 10%. And with that, have a great weekend, everybody, and let's crush this Friday slate.